right, what's up, Mob Crew? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys can hear me okay, please put a 1 in the chat. I'm going to quickly get a video ready. I'm going to quickly plug my Patriot Supply real quick because I'm under contract to do so, and then we'll get started with today's show.
Mob Crew and friends, are you prepared for the widespread food shortages ahead? Farmers have been warning us for months, but are we listening? They say it's beyond their control, especially with the fertilizer crisis. Bottom line, food shortages will be a harsh reality very soon. That's why you should get ready now with emergency food from My Patriot Supply. And good news, today you'll save 20% on their 3-month food kit. These kits provide delicious, easy-to-make breakfasts, lunch, dinner, snacks, drinks for one person for 3 solid months. Get one for each member of your family while you're able to save 20% during this timely sale. Remember, My Patriot Supply is the nation's largest preparedness company with millions of families already protected. These 3-month food kits, which average 2,000 calories a day, are in stock and ready to go. Your order ships fast and free and arrives in unmarked boxes. Go to www.preparewiththemobcrew.com. Those who know what's coming are already prepared. Are you? Prepare with www.preparewiththemobcrew.com. Thank you so much.
All right, so shout out to My Patriot Supply for being affiliate with this channel. Good to see everybody. I know I didn't get to go live on Wednesday. My apologies. I am getting ready to move, so just been quite busy. But today we're going to try to touch on the Letecia Stauch case. And since it's my first time covering this case, I always like to go through like the basic timeline. And so today we'll kind of focus on that. And then I'm hoping to try to get at least a clip of the latest witness that was on the stand just before they ended today. That was, what was her name? Mobley? Nicole? Was amazing witness. I see you guys were talking about her earlier in the chat. So I'm hoping maybe I can get a clip of that. So, but before we get started, we always like to get back by featuring the missing, and then we're going to talk about a few other things before we get started, along with our trip to Texas. But we have a special request. Let me get this over here. So this was sent in by a viewer. This is Catherine Sue Human. I hope I said that last name okay. 65 years old. She went missing out of Big Spring, Texas. She's 5'8", 130 pounds, long brown hair. She was last seen, so that would be 2 years ago on November the 25th at her residence in Big Springs. This was sent in by a family member. If you have any information, please call 432-264-2550. And that is Catherine Sue Human. And then here is Aiden Clune, who he went missing last year in April 27th, south of Wells, Nevada. It was 19 when he went missing. He's 5'8", 125 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. Speaking of Aiden, we're going to have his mother, Amy, on next week. They are actually gearing up to do a big search and rescue operation for Aiden in May. I think the second or third week of May. So, and hopefully, if everything goes through with Texas, I should be able to go out there. So we'll have her on next Thursday, and then because she's going to want to get the word out, hopefully get as many volunteers, and it's going to be a big operation, and we're going to try to be a part of it. And then we feature one more, and then we'll talk about one more thing. And this is Kaylin Watson, just went missing, 17 years old, 5'4", 110 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes. She went missing on April 6th out of Land Lakes, Florida, not the butter. And if you have any information, you can call 727-847-8102. All right. So close that up. And then, yeah, so just one more thing on the update. So, yeah, we have Aiden Clinton's mother coming on the show next week to talk about the big operation that's going on in May. And then, of course, me and Steve, we have a trip at the first part of May on, I think, May 2nd or the 3rd. And that is Texas, and that is a cold case. So it's going to be like our first official. It's kind of been pushed back a couple times, but we're hoping this is going to be permanent. And hopefully, on this case, it's a cold case. It's a 2-year-old girl, Amber Crum, believed to be murdered, and they believe that she was buried under a house. And so we are going to go out there, and we have a wonderful geologist, Carolyn, who's going to come out and help us, and she has ground penetrating radar, and we're going to use that to search under the house. And so they're pretty sure that she's in 1 or 2 houses. So really excited to go out and maybe hopefully bring some closure to that. All right, let's get going. So the Letecia Stauch case, I'm going to pull up this thing here. Oh, and one more thing, Bonnie Bailey, I saw you in there. If you could please email me your package. I found out what happened. It's the apartment number didn't get put in there. Probably is on my end. My apologies. If you could just re-email me your address so I can just double check it before I send it out, especially since it's going to Canada, because it does take a little bit longer. So if you could please email me. All right, so here's the Stauch family. The main characters really is Al, the husband and father of Gannon, then his then at the time wife, Leticia, who is on trial. She is the stepmother to Gannon. She is not the biological mother. Then she has her own daughter. I have it on Haley. My apologies. It's Harley. And then, of course, we have Gannon Stauch, who at the time was 11 years old. Son of Al from a previous marriage. At this time, it was January 2020. They were living in Colorado Springs, Colorado. The father, Al, he was in the National Guard and stationed, and he was on a trip during that month of January. So Leticia was at home watching the kids when her stepson Gannon supposedly went missing on January 27th. And I'm going to admit to you guys, this case, I do know it, but I'm sure there's probably a lot of you that probably know this case more than I do. So I am not afraid to admit that. So please, if I say something wrong, please correct me in the chat. This is, like I said, I've been following the trial, but there's a lot of elements to this case. So on the 27th, Leticia calls 911 to report her stepson Gannon 11 missing just before 7 p.m. According to the affidavit, she is instructed to call the non-emergency number. When she does, she cannot give the name or any name of Gannon's friends or their parents. According to her, Gannon was to go play with a friend down the street, but this would be, of course, a lie. She allegedly was unable to recall any of where her friends lived, and she would basically say, well, that's the father. The father's the one that always talks to the neighbors and does everything with Gannon. So, and then we move on. So they would, deputies would come out and they would kind of look around the house, and they would arrive around 10 p.m. They would get permission to search the property. And just before that, she had told her daughter, Harley, to go pick up some carpet cleaner, trash bags, and baking soda from the store, which was a little odd. And that would be, of course, to clean up what she did. So later, it would be learned that Leticia, on that day after 2 p.m., would take Gannon's life by stabbing him multiple times, hitting him over the head with a blunt object, and then shooting him. I think she shot 2 or 3 shots, and one of them entered his jaw. The other 2 going into his pillow. The poor kid. His body would be put in a suitcase, placed in her car, in the trunk of the car, and then kept there. Then the next day, of course, upon hearing his son's disappearance, so Leticia would rent a car because they believed she was afraid to have the body of Gannon in her car and go pick up Al, and he would find out. So she actually went to a rental and picked up a Kia, and then she went and picked up Al at the airport around 9 a.m. And then, let's see, she says she reports Leticia returns to the short term lot at 7 p.m. And then apparently, allegedly moves Gannon's body to an unknown area to hide the body. Investigators believe that Gannon had been in the car because Leticia wanted to avoid her husband discovering his son's body. Harley then picks up her mother in her own car at 10:30. Investigators believe based on cell phone records. And so January 29th, the next day, the rental car is returned at 9 a.m. Leticia meets with investigators. She arrives 2 hours late, according to the affidavit, and with her vehicle freshly washed. It's believed she tried to wash the blood off the trunk and exterior of the car. Then, at some point in the interrogation, in the affidavit, it says that Leticia arrived with sheets of paper and proceeded to tell investigators that she had been held at gunpoint by a man named Eduardo on the day Gannon went missing from their home. Leticia then allegedly said that she had been SA'd, and then that person abducted Gannon, and she was actually supposedly reported multiple times SA'd. Leticia says she then cleaned up the area before reporting her son missing, according to the affidavit. So huge red flags. Huge red flags. Oh shoot, I didn't realize that's kind of blocking that. Let me move that over. Then we have that same day, so they seize her cell phone and apply for a warrant to take DNA samples. The affidavit says that Leticia then begins to stick tissues down her pants and says she is struggling to breathe and having heart problems. She is rushed to the hospital. During there, she has no life-threatening concerns, and she slips out of the building. So she was doing that to get out of the interview, and so she sneaks out of the hospital. Then the massive search goes on for Gannon on January 30th, taken in El Paso County. And then, let me see, let's see, should be, where do I got the videos? Okay, we're coming up to it. Okay, so I've got some videos we'll play here as well. Then on February 1st, Leticia and her daughter, Harley, begin to drive cross country, according to the testimony of Sergeant Hubble, who said that Leticia rented a van for the drive. He believes Gannon's remains were also in the van at the time. So her and her daughter drove from Colorado to Florida. A few days later, on February 4th, Leticia arrives in Florida, checks into a hotel just 3 miles away from where Gannon's body would sadly be tossed, which his remains were inside a suitcase and was tossed off a bridge. Construction workers would later discover his remains. Then we kind of learn, and this is really when things start, when investigators really start looking at Leticia. I think they were before, but this was a real big red flag. A neighbor comes forward. He has surveillance. He claims that the surveillance contradicts Leticia's versions of events, because she said that Gannon went out to go play. I'm not sure what time. Maybe you guys know in the comments, but he was supposed to be home by like 6 or by when it got dark. But obviously the video that we'll watch here in a second shows that he's seen getting in the truck, but when she comes back, he is not seen again. So this looks like Leticia, and so this is January 27th. I'm going to see what you guys are saying in the chat here. I don't think so. That's a good question. Like I said, I don't know. Like I said, I'm familiar with the case, but I don't know all the angles to this case. This is something still I'm trying to catch it up on. But I think it was just her and Harley. Correct me if I'm wrong. So she backs up the truck, and then we see her and I believe Gannon get in. So she, oh yeah, right here. So it looks like she's putting Gannon in the back seat. Clear that. And we'll fast forward here. So the truck takes off, then comes back later. It would back up. And then apparently Gannon is not seen getting out. And then obviously with this surveillance, you would think it would have caught if her story was true and Gannon went to go play with a friend down the street. This clearly covers the front part of their house, so you would at least see Gannon either walking towards the camera or away. But clearly there's no evidence of that because that never happened. All right, so moving on. Oh, let's see, watch her get out of the truck here. I'm just gonna grab a drink real quick. Yeah, so I saw some people asking that. So apparently she's pleading not guilty in the rule of insanity. So she claims that she went insane. Uh, she is admitting to guilt, but she was insane when doing that. So, and to be honest, watching this trial, there is, in my opinion, let me know what you guys think in the chat. There's not much of a defense. This is so different to see a case like this where um, it feels like the defense is just non-existent in this case. I don't know. I guess when it comes to insanity, I've never seen a case like this, so it is kind of interesting. So I'm not going to go through this whole thing because we'll listen to a few of her things. But this is when she starts giving all these different stories to her. I think he was still the husband at the time. I think he would divorce her shortly later. But Leticia tells her husband 5 different versions of events. So, because remember, the first one was that he just went to go play with some friends down the street. But she couldn't name who those friends were or the house or the parents. Now, then, of course, she told a story when she was brought in on February the 3rd, I believe, that there was some abductor that had came into the house. And there's so many different versions that I don't even know if I can get them right, and I'll probably mix them up because at some point she says when they're running errands that he ends up climbing in the car and holds him at gunpoint, and they go back home, and it's just her and Gannon. I think it's just her and Gannon, and then they go back to the house, and then he supposedly ties her up, and then assaults her. Then she's knocked out, and then she comes to, and then he's got Gannon, and there's some kind of exchange, and then again she gets SA'd, and then knocked out again. There's so many versions of this story. It's hard to keep track of them. And anyways, then apparently she says that she knows the name because this guy apparently had a name badge that popped out of his pocket conveniently. So at one point she's trying to get immunity when she's talking to the husband. And maybe if we get a little time, we'll listen to a part of that call. But she's trying to get She's screaming and she just wants immunity. She doesn't care about, because of course Gannon's still missing at this time, and she's just more worried about herself. But she's telling her husband this crazy story about going to like Petco and all these different stores, and then somehow this guy ends up in the car, and then ends up at the house and holds him at gunpoint and assaults her repeatedly, and then eventually would take Gannon. Now, apparently, her story would even lead into where the guy was actually still there when the officers showed up, which is absolutely just crazy. And she even says, like, I was trying to hint, to look downstairs behind the boxes and stuff like that. But that all that stuff was made up. Let me quit this real quick. Love Pet. Oh, I love that name. I love pets. Thank you so much for the super sticker. And Glam Gam. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. You guys are so awesome. Did I mention I'm going to be moving? I think I forgot that. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get all the updates in before we started this. But yes, I'm going to be moving, which is going to be huge because I've been missing some live shows. Part of that is just because being at my aunt's house, we've got dogs. My cousin's got his daughter, and it's kind of noisy. And so it's time for me to get my own place. So I may be moving into an apartment by either this weekend or the beginning of next week. And I'm so excited because then I'll be able to go live during like the day and also at night. It's going to leave me with a lot more options. So I'm really excited. So moving back to the timeline, and then we'll look at some videos here. The main ones, February 21, the search efforts are suspended because now they're starting to suspect, obviously, that Leticia's behind this. She's not telling the truth. And they believe all the search efforts, he's not nearby. And then February 22nd, the judge signs an arrest warrant. And then on March 2nd, she is arrested in Myrtle Beach. And then March 4th, she makes headlines after she allegedly attacks a deputy while being extradited back to Colorado. Then, sadly, March 17th is when Gannon's body would be discovered in Florida, according to Jason Yoder of Santa Rosa County. So bridge inspectors were out there, and they had found a suitcase under the bridge while doing some construction. Upon opening it, they found what appeared to be a boy's body wrapped in his blankets. And what's interesting, I don't know if we get some time, there's actually some evidence where we get to see kind of one of the last videos or photos of Gannon where he's sleeping in his bed. And then apparently from the body cam footage of the officers when they show up later that day, the bedding has changed. So clearly that bedding that we see him sleeping in would assume this would be the bedding that he was wrapped in inside the suitcase, which is absolutely terrible. So this was the suitcase brought out for the jury. If I can blow that up a little bit. Gosh, poor kid. So here's the suitcase here. This is actually, I've got a better version of this. So we'll play one of the last videos of Gannon, sadly. Let's see, where do I got it here? There. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
Now, I just got to say, for those, I think most of you guys are been watching the trial. To me, let's see, where do I get the photo at? To me, does it feel like this is what... Do you guys get headaches watching this trial? I don't know about you, but I do. I wish they would fix their cameras. But I swear to God, it feels like this is what you're looking at half the time. Um, it kind of drives me nuts. I wish they would kind of update their cameras. I mean, I don't need to be completely zoomed in on any certain person, but it just feels like the quality is kind of could be a lot better. Um, but yeah, it does kind of give me a headache, especially when they kind of have her zoomed in at the bottom, and it's not in focus like this. And yes, I got a pigeon back. Yes, I get a migraine. It does. It gives me. I hate it. We've been spoiled with like the Gwyneth Paltrow case, Johnny Depp case, obviously Alex Murdoch. Very well set up cameras. We get to see everything except for the um, jurors. I mean, but yes, it is. It's kind of a headache. But I do want to say, for those, I'm sure a lot of you guys watched this trial. The judge, I love the judge. He is like so nice. Let me know your thoughts on the judge. Like, I think he's probably one of the most interesting things, and the only uplifting part of this terrible tragedy is the judge and just how like polite he is to everyone, and especially the people that are coming to testify. Um, I love his demeanor. Yeah, Judge is great. Yeah, he's amazing. Always making sure everybody watches their step. Very calm. I like him. Okay. Oh, I know. So we were gonna play this here. Okay. Jennifer says I can't do blurry or bad sound. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, especially when they blow up her at the bottom. That's it. Really as a distraction. Okay, so this is I'm gonna play. This is kind of overview of its opening arguments, which is really short, but it also has that little video of Gannon, and basically kind of what I think was like the tipping point. Something happened with the candle. He burnt the carpet or something like that. Some kind of thing incident with the candle. Sadly, it sounds like he got burnt as well. We don't know the whole circumstances. I see some people alleging she could have been involved in that. I wouldn't put it past her. Um,
Those instructions will go on to give specific guidance. He found guilty.
okay, let me.
He proved to be a fighter. Overcame the difficulties.
Yeah. So poor Gannon, born 1 pound, most likely not to survive, and was gonna, if he did, he was gonna have like severe problems. And he was such a fighter. It kind of reminds me a little bit of me. I wasn't born 1 pound. I was born 4 pounds, so definitely a preemie. And they told my mother that I could have been possibly had problems, but um, I got lucky. So I can kind of relate to Gannon when it comes to the situation, because my mother would always tell me, I was a fighter, because after me, I'm an only child, and my mother, after me, she had 4 miscarriages after me. So I was the only one that made it out of 4 others. So I definitely can relate to Gannon and this whole kind of story. So
Associated with being born so small.
sorry, I'm gonna fast forward it here.
Okay, all right, so listen.
Okay, here's the video. Hopefully you guys can hear it okay. I think it's loud enough.
Are you sure you didn't do it on purpose?
Oops, back it up a little bit.
On January 26, 2020, something bad happened inside the Stauch family home. Gannon suffered some burns. You'll learn this from a video recording this defendant made that night, January 26th. You'll hear her as she manipulated Gannon, putting guilt on him for some mistake that a child made. And in that recording, you'll hear Gannon say in his own words,
Wow.
I'm just worried about my burns.
Two, I just don't know what to do.
Okay, so, and this is a video, apparently, let me know in the chat. Apparently, this is a video she uploaded, like, after he went missing. This was supposedly, I don't know what the intention was for her to upload this. I mean, it's good evidence against her to show how manipulative. I don't know what she was thinking uploading this, but From what I understand, this was uploaded kind of after he went missing.
Well, devastating. Initially, Scott, I can't lie when the TMZ information.
Gannon, I promise this is the last time I'm gonna ask you. I'm just freaked out, okay? Are you sure you didn't do it on purpose? Okay, you
Yeah.
promise. You promise. Pinky promise. Okay, all right, so, listen. We're, all right, we're gonna have to sell stuff to fix it, okay? So, we figure out what we gotta sell. We can sell the sofa, we can sell whatever, because we gotta get it fixed, so lady.
Yeah, I hate to play this. I really do, but this just kind of shows how manipulative she is and the events that are going to lead to.
Don't be mad at us and kick us out of the house, okay? You got it? You got it?
I'm just worried about my
Okay, shh, listen. So tomorrow,
The other person in this case is that last voice you just heard, who said so tomorrow.
Oh, that's right.
The defendant. January 26, 2020 and into January 27, 2020, she was the sole provider for Gannon. Her husband, Al Stauch, Gannon's father, serves in the National Guard. He was in Oklahoma for National Guard training, left that Saturday night, the 25th. Everything that happened to Gannon from that point forward was her decision. She carried out actions
Okay.
to
yeah,
kill
that's right.
Gannon, to put his body in a suitcase and hide it, to hide evidence of what she did to Gannon. Told numerous stories to investigators to manipulate the course of the investigation. And finally, to discard Gannon inside that suitcase off of a Florida bridge like garbage. January 27, 2020, Gannon's home, located at 6627 Mandan Drive, here in Colorado Springs, Colorado, turned into the stuff of nightmares. In fact, the one place a little boy like Gannon should have felt the safest, his bedroom, turned into, like I said, the stuff of nightmares. That bedroom is in fact where he was brutally murdered. The defendant attacked him viciously, mercilessly, deliberately, and intentionally. These are exhibits that you'll see from the doctor down in Florida, Dr. Ignacio, when she performed the autopsy.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave it there. They're gonna repeat what happened to him. Stabbed 18 times, then hit over the head, and then shot. I think 3 bullets, and then 1 hit his jaw. The other 2 entered his pillow. Absolutely overkill. Just a monster. And it's crazy because she worked in the school system. I don't know for how long. But she did actually have some kind of a rap sheet from what I was reading just before I went live, way back in her younger years, like in her 20s. I believe she had some kind of, I think, what was it? Grand Theft Auto, I think, or something like that. Let me know in the chat. She did have a little bit of a record. It all got, I think, like somehow expunged. She did some whatever. She paid her fines and did courses, but she did have some red flags, definitely. But then being in the school system, which she couldn't really hold a job, but she seemed to be in the school system, which seems like that was probably not the system to be in. And I just wonder, was that something that was that kind of early signs that she couldn't handle kids? I don't know. It's definitely not my kind of area, but so at the time, I don't know if she was even working. She told her that, which we actually heard from today, with her last job at the school, is she had made up a false. She called her supervisor and said that her stepfather, I think, yeah, it was her stepfather, was hit and run or something like that, or killed or something like that, and so she wasn't gonna make it in that day. And then I don't think she showed up ever again. Let me know if I got that right, but just wild. So let's see. Okay, so we played part of that. Okay, saw that, and now we're gonna switch over to one of the clips we
Well, that
got to see today. This is Leticia when she was brought in for questioning.
approach is happening. Can you describe the defendant's demeanor?
She was surprised. So she kind of froze, and I said, "My name's Sergeant Gannon with the Sheriff's Office. We have a search warrant for the vehicle. I can't let you into it. I'm going to need the keys." And basically, it was, like I said, it was a soft approach, just like I'm talking now. She didn't acknowledge me. She didn't say anything. Where she was, she had maneuvered kind of closer to her driver's door, and then just started slowly walking backwards.
Were there any observations that you noticed about her gaze or where she was looking, anything like that?
Yeah, so the two biggest things I noticed is she was just stuttering, like one word, like key, warrant, like just repeating what I was saying. And then she kept walking further back.
You know, when I always think of when somebody repeats something like, I think of Alex Murdoch when they ask him, "Did you kill your wife?" And he's like, "Did I kill my wife?" No. And then he asked, "Did you kill your son?" He's like, "Did I kill my son?" So it reminds me of that. I think that's a huge red flag right there.
And I told her, I said, "Relax, you're not in trouble. I just need the keys to the car. I can't let you into it." She continued to walk back, and then I noticed she started to turn her head behind her, because when that was going on, so there's my vehicle, her vehicle, and I'm here, she's here, so she can't go past me. She can't go left or right. So all she can do is basically turn around. And so I noticed that she was periodically turning around as she continued to walk backwards.
As she walked backwards, what did she do after that?
She turned and ran in a full sprint away from me. She had the keys in her hand.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. Got on the radio and I was like, she's running. Like, I don't know what's going on. And I started running after her. As she was running away from me, she had taken the keys to the car and threw them across the parking lot. It took us a little bit of time to find them, but she had thrown them across the parking lot, and so she threw them one way and then kept running the other way from where she threw the keys.
Ultimately, after running after her, were you able to make contact?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think this is, now remind me in the chat, I think this is the same time when I think Harley was there as well, and then she was telling Harley, not to say anything and, get a lawyer or whatever. And so obviously that's major red flags for them. I mean, I think he even talked about, I wish that there was more to that clip, but he even talks about they actually had to pull a gun on her, to get her to stop. Absolutely crazy. So let's listen just a little bit to an interview with her when, it was early days and people were starting to kind of suspect her. But, they still didn't really know anything. But I'm going to play this interview here. This is her. Now, some people, if I recall, some people think that this vehicle that's on the side of the road, and let me know in the chat, they believe that, I hate to bring this up, that they believe his, Gannon's body could have actually been in that vehicle at the time that she's doing this interview. I could be wrong. Let me know in the chat if that was just alleged or if this was true or not.
You are?
I am Leticia Stauch, which is Gannon's stepmother.
You've been a part of the investigation since the very first time. You were the last person to see him. Is that right?
Correct.
What did you see when you last saw him?
Well, I'm not allowed to talk about anything with the case. I would more so be willing to talk about how the community needs to have faith and continue to work together and not make these false accusations, like the things that have been said that I've disappeared. from the community. I haven't been there to help, but there's lots of reasons behind that.
Reasons like death threats, right?
Right. Death threats are one of them. My family's
Oh.
getting lots of death threats. We counted over 20 some death threats already. Two, my husband's ex-wife is living in our home, and of course I'm not coming home to do these things and to help with the family when I was kind of like told I couldn't. And then many other things that happened with the El Paso County Police Department, you know, and in doing the investigation I was told I wasn't complying. And could I elaborate on that?
Please do.
Yes. So I asked for an attorney during the interview, and I was denied that by them. I was held because they were blocking the door, and I was told I couldn't leave, and that if I would have touched them, they would have probably, you know, said I still wasn't complying or said I was, you know, trying to run away or something. But during the interview, I asked several times, could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? Could I
Yeah.
stop the interview? Could I get an attorney?
Yeah.
I was denied. I was told I couldn't get nothing to drink. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I mean, it was continuously that my constitutional rights were violated.
And that's why you say that they said then you weren't cooperating with the investigation.
That's why they said I wasn't cooperating at that time, correct?
And why did you ask for an attorney at the time?
Well, I asked for an attorney at the time because there was one individual, there was two really good detectives, and so I'm not, you know, going to talk bad about detectives, but the tactics they started to get when I would answer questions, they try to, you know, they're detectives, they're supposed to twist, the one main goal is to find Gannon. But during that time, some of those things made me feel uncomfortable the way they were saying things, so I immediately stopped and felt like an attorney would help me with some of the vocabulary and things like that I needed help with and understanding
She needed help with vocabulary. Give me a break.
some of the things that they were asking.
I'm going to shift gears to what has become a huge online presence of people
Right.
obviously trying to do the right thing, help find Gannon.
Yeah, after talking about vocabulary and somebody who's supposed to be in like the school system and right, an educational system, I guess you could say, and right, Steve says never heard an insane person speak so well. Exactly.
But at the same time, sometimes it just feels like rumor mongering. Have you seen any of those comments yourself?
We have, and see, that's one of the main things we haven't.
Okay, so this is 11 minutes. I'm going to probably skip a little bit. I want to get towards where we can kind of see the vehicle. But like I said, I think somebody corroborated that there was a possibility that, like I said, I hate to bring this up, but it just shows how just disgusting she is that Gannon's body could have been in this vehicle right there while she's doing this interview. And then she calls her daughter over, which I don't think she had any idea. The poor girl, Harley, I think she's just gotten, sucked into the middle of this. But we'll get to hear from her eventually.
Been around in the public eye because I didn't want to expose my family to it if all these things were going on. You know, there was comments.
So most of this interview is about her and her, has nothing to do with Gannon.
The community is really good at looking out for each other and coming together in times of need.
I should try and clarify here. Not necessarily crime rates, but the way that people are reacting online to rumors about you with the search.
Oh yes, wow. The rumors have gotten so bad. I pretty much have been told at least 10 different ways that these people have these conspiracy theories. I guess they watch a lot of law shows and maybe they have all these theories on how Gannon is dead. And that's what they're...
So it says this is an interview from January 31st. So he went missing on the 27th. Well, he was, his life was taken on the 27th. So this was 4 days after, from what it says. Yeah, because it says this interview was shot January 31st. So, and she would make the trip. As a matter of fact, she would make the trip to Florida the next day, or start making the trip. Because it would be February 1st that she leaves, and then she arrives in Florida on the 4th.
They're saying. So I'm like, why are you saying Gannon is dead? He is not dead. We are going to find Gannon. And that's...
So I think that's why people suspected that, and I don't know if this is the van that she took or whatever, or if that's just his van, but I just remember this is just something that stuck out to me years ago when this interview first started, that whatever vehicle was out there could have actually had Gannon's body in it, because obviously she would be going on the road trip right after.
It's the main goal that we all have, my family has. Just because you haven't seen us we have that same goal, and we've been out searching. My aunt has been out searching. My family has been out searching. We all have been doing that together so that we could protect each other.
How does it feel when not only you have a lost child who you are in care of, but then people blaming you for that child not being there?
You know, I'm just ready for Gannon to come home. Most importantly, for him to see his family. But second, I am going to be so ecstatic when I'm able to say to people that I hope they have a really sincere apology for all these theories that have came out online, for all the things they said that I have done or people have done. And I just want everyone to know that we're going to find Gannon. And I love him so much. I've helped taking care of him for so long.
Can you talk to me a little bit about him? I don't know him.
Gannon is so kind, and he loves to play.
Okay, so we're not going to play this part because she's just...
The hike, was there a hike? We don't, that just seems like rumors right now.
You know what? Could we bring my daughter up here? Because she can go and say that, you know, she came home from work.
And that's disgusting to use her daughter like this to, you know, build her narrative.
After the hike, and she can verify Gannon was at home. Yeah.
The mic's on that way, so you don't have to like face down into it, but
Okay.
just don't. I was just asking about the hike.
Yes, so I came home later that evening. I was at work, and I can verify that he was there that night.
So there was a hike that you guys went on, but then you guys came home.
Yes.
Where'd you guys go hiking?
Garden of the Gods.
Okay, so this is talking about the day before, because I like you guys said that they were kind of suspected he went missing the day before. So she's trying to, I'm assuming this is what she's trying to do is, you know, clarify that he didn't go missing that 26th, I'm assuming. But yes, maybe. So I have it paused, and I'm sorry, I have to kind of commentate over this so I don't not stealing content. I want to see how this video does after we're done. And like I said, I know this is a case that I'm still kind of learning and everything. I've been following the trial, at least listening to it while I do other activities. But there's definitely a lot of layers. But the other thing I was going to say is I want to see, because they're done with jury selection on the Lori Vallow case, and I just don't know how that's going to be. You know, because the trial starts on Monday. And supposedly they may have some audio of it or something like that. And if they do, I might switch over to that. I mean, I'll still keep an eye on Leticia, but I may more focus on Lori Vallow, just depending if there is content, you know, because I'm sure they're going to come out with some big things. Like Kay Woodcock is supposed to be kind of one of the first people to be interviewed. Sorry to sidetrack, but I just kind of wanted to answer that question. But it may be, maybe even a combination of both.
Okay. I guess when...
And then we ate Burger King afterwards, so, you know.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then it just was, I'm going to go to play at a friend's house.
Can we step off of here? I don't want her on the...
No worries.
Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah.
You did great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, do it again.
And then it was just, I'm off to go to play at a friend's house.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to like comment on that anymore, and for that reason is because some things have been turned and twisted, and you know, that was one of those stories you were talking about where people say things. We had to hear things like who would let their child go out at dark and things like that, and that's just why I don't want to answer that. If I had to give, I'm not gonna say that part.
That's okay.
Never mind.
That's right.
I could take that out.
I understand that it gets tricky with
Yeah.
legal stuff.
Okay, I'm going to play this
It's
last
okay
little
that
bit.
they think those things. Nothing to do with any criminal activity, you know, or any of those things. And it just got blown out of proportion on my professional status, you know. And
Do you feel like these are just internet detectives who think they know what they're doing?
it definitely is. And, you know, here's the thing that kind of saddens me. It's like if you're going to talk about someone like that and have a witch hunt out for them, why would you even care, like, about doing those things? Because this is a child. You're telling me that you're just as mean, you're just as hateful to talk about someone else like that. That's how I feel. Like, we just should not. We should all come together and wait until the end and see what happens, because Gannon's going to come home.
Any message for Gannon?
The message for Gannon I have is, Gannon, when you get here, you'll be able to truly tell what happened. And then I really hope I get a sincere apology from everyone.
So right after she talks about Gannon, she's got to go right back to herself. And she expects this big apology.
When you get here, you'll be able to truly tell what happened. And then I really hope I get a sincere apology from everyone who has made all those things, especially from my husband. We just wanted to add a message.
So, anyway, there's that interview. That was like probably the first interview that I saw that whenever this case was mentioned, and I heard about the possibility that the poor kid's body could have been in there, and I just thought, wow, this is a crazy case that I just never had gotten a chance to cover. Here's some cute pictures. Let's show a few pictures of Gannon. Is this is it Leela? My apologies. His younger sister. And then he loved Sonic. He loved his Nintendo Switch, and he loved Sonic and Mario. Cute kid. Looks like he's doing a little front flip into the water there, or his dad maybe tossed him. Looks fun. He's on the swing there. Just 11 years old. Had so much life left. So sad. So let me see if I can. I would love to get this interview from that Nicole lady. Let me see if they've got an update yet. Which this is this one? Oh, this is her. Oh, do they got it? Ooh, they do. Okay, give me a second. We don't need the best quality. Let's see how that's going to go. Okay, that's going to go pretty good. We're not going to watch the whole thing. Obviously, her testimony was, I don't know what, an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. But it would be interesting to watch just kind of the first part where so this is one of the neighbors, and yes, Nicole's amazing. And she starts to kind of infiltrate, speaking with Leticia and starting to learn, some inside details, and starts to kind of manipulate, and obviously plays along with Leticia because Leticia's telling her these stories. Leticia tells her that she passed this supposed polygraph test, and of course talks about the story of her being attacked with the Eduardo guy and everything. But yeah, she was so amazing. I want to get this here, and we'll listen to I wish I could have done this before. Whenever they finish with the trial, like Law and Crime Network, when it's done, or even like when I'm done doing a live show, once it's done, it like if somebody wants to go watch it, it can't watch it right away because it has to like officially upload. So, and then when you have something that's like 8 hours long, it takes a while to do that. Okay, so switch that there, and I think we're good on that. Was there anything I was going to show in this here? I do like this from Grizzly True Crime. I do have to show this real quick here. I think Grizzly put this, the ring featuring Leticia, because this is what it does feel like when you're watching the trial, sadly. Really wish they'd fix their cameras. Okay, let's see here.
I'm sorry, 1358 People versus Leticia Stauch record should reflect the jury has returned to the courtroom.
And yeah, this is so different to see that the jury can ask questions before a witness gets off the stand when both defense and prosecution do their examination. Then the jury, if they want, they can ask a question. I'm assuming kind of like anonymously, and then they write a letter, and then the judge, or write a note, whatever, and then the judge reads it, and then they address it. Oh, okay, here she is. Let's see. not even sure where to start. We won't not gonna watch this whole thing because it's long, but maybe just get to the part where she's starting to kind of infiltrate Leticia here, and what an amazing job she did.
It is.
Is the message that you wrote to your husband accurate? Is that what you said after this text screen that you had with the defendant?
Yes.
Okay. Are now back to the original 33 pages. I think I've already asked you that. Is that a true and accurate depiction of the conversation you had with Ms. Stauch back on February 19th, 2020?
Yes, sir.
Move to admit People's Exhibit 233.
Defense. Exhibit 233 will be admitted. Go ahead.
Request to publish.
You may. Go ahead.
Okay, how's the sound on that, guys? I know it might be slightly a little low. So I think they're pulling up text messages or Facebook messages. Was it through Facebook Messenger? I think she was talking with her.
You can either look at the TV screens or actually look at the notebook, whatever you're. 9:59. Is that approximately when this all started?
Yes.
And that would have been February 19th?
Okay.
Yes.
Audience.
So
Okay.
when it says to verify it's you, what was your real first name, LOL? Is that Ms. Stauch talking?
Yes, sir.
And prior to getting this string of messages, were you certain that it was Ms. Stauch who you were talking to?
Yes, sir. We did a thing on previous messages where I had asked her something. I don't remember what it was, but to validate it was her, that only she would know, and she did that.
So
And is
true.
she now validating who you are,
Yes, sir.
Lowish. Okay.
i.e. Nicole is what you respond?
Yes.
So if we can scroll down a little bit.
I think he's a little low. She sounds
And
okay.
again, everything that you say is going to be in green, right?
Yes.
She's saying yep. Go ahead, and what does she say?
That she was realizing who I was, verifying that that's.
She say, okay, so listen, I didn't hurt my son or kill him or anything. I want you to know that. I also want you to know that I can trust you on it.
Okay, so because you can hear her fine. Sometimes he's not speaking near the mic, so he says that Leticia sends her message. You know, I want to know if I can trust you, and you believe that I didn't, harm my son.
Yes.
How did you take that?
I guess kind of in a couple ways. That obviously she knows something, but that I needed to work really hard to gain her trust, and maybe I could get her to tell me something. I don't know.
And so, how did you respond? Go ahead and read that.
100%. If you look up both my real profile and my fake on any of the Gannon pages, you will see I've been pointing out the shadow, and I have not bashed you.
So is that what we're talking about, the leg drop that we see January 27th when they get home?
Yes, sir.
And why did you tell her this?
So there was a lot of drama and things that were going on. People trying to zoom, like on social media, zooming in and trying to determine if there was a shadow or a leg, because there was a lot of, well, we didn't see him come home. So she, I think at one point was involved in some of that communication, trying to push that. So I knew if I reached out and said, I believe you, this is what I saw, that she would start to trust me.
And so, just so we're clear, there's a video that was posted on the internet that sees the defendant and Gannon get in a truck and leave. About 13.
So she sent a message saying that there's a video about, where you can't see when they come back. And so she's going to try to explain this to Mobley.
Yes, sir.
And then there's also a video that comes back. The truck backs up into the driveway. You can't see the other side of the truck. All right?
Correct.
You see Ms. Stauch get out of the driver's side.
Yes.
And then that's when you see this leg drop on the other side. And there were people saying Gannon never came home with her, so she must have did something.
Yeah, there was a lot of videos, people circling it and saying that's not a shadow or that's not a leg, trying to say that some people thought he came home and some people didn't. So it was a lot of back and forth on that.
So that's what's going on in social media, and so that's how did you want to gain her trust by saying, hey, I'm with you on this, that type of thing?
Yeah, she wanted to make sure she could trust me, and the only thing I could think of is if I went along the lines of certain things that were going on in the moment, and I was on her side for that part, that I would gain that trust.
Okay. And so she responds, thank you, I do need some help, though, and I could help you in return. Before you think, this isn't anything bad or anything like that. You recall that?
I do.
What did you think that was all about?
I didn't really know where she was going with it. Let me think on that. I'm sorry.
Well, we can scroll down and see what your response is.
Yeah.
Well, now we're on page 2 of that exhibit. So your response is, just to show you what I've said to my own family in the past about all this. Can't make out. Looks like you attached something to the text.
Yeah, I think I attached something that like a message I might have sent to somebody else talking about it. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was just like, look, I'm showing you, I even told somebody in my family I believed you.
Is that again to gain her trust?
Yes.
So how does she respond after you do that?
Did you want me to read it?
Yes.
Okay. If I had did this, I couldn't have gone but so far, and they would have found him. But they are focusing on me, wasting valuable time.
He says thank you.
Thank you.
And then what do you say?
Okay, what do you need help with? I definitely don't think you would ask me to do anything bad, so it's okay.
And what does she say?
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
So I want you to tell the truth.
And you respond okay.
Mm-hmm.
Page 3.
Okay, I'm gonna pause there real quick here, just so I can get this. Thank you so much, Real Pocahontas, for the super sticker. Yeah, I'm gonna fix the tip jar. The name is a little small. I'm still working on that. I'm gonna try to get some colors to it and stuff. Playing around with it. We'll get it working here. But quickly, for those that just tuning in, we were just going over the Letecia Stauch case. This is my first time covering it, so I did kind of go through the whole just kind of basic timeline, and then showed some basic kind of interviews that are attached to this case. There's so many elements, and obviously now with the trial, today was day 4, right? Today, day 4. And then what are we looking at? I've heard 6 weeks and I've heard 8 weeks, which is really crazy. I mean, that is a lot. I was only expecting maybe 3 or 4 weeks. Maybe I misheard, but that's gonna be a long case. But the defense, I mean, look at the defense right now. I mean, these guys are just hanging out. I mean, I guess they are looking at the wall where I guess the text messages are, but they very little cross-examination any of the witnesses. Very little defense in this case, which obviously we don't want to mistrial, but at the same time, I guess it's, she's guilty in my opinion, and deserves the worst. But it's so weird to see the trials that we've seen, like Gwyneth Paltrow and just all these lawyers bickering back and forth, Dick Arpullian and Creighton Waters going back and forth, and this is so mellow. It's so different. And except I love the judge. Like, the judge is so awesome. I wish we could see more of him in other cases. He is just so relaxed. But sorry for getting off track. I had to kind of commentate. We'll play another 10 minutes. I might skip forward. I want try to get to where she starts really infiltrating Leticia here.
some of these are kind of repetitive just because of the way they did the screenshots, so bear with me. So you respond, so blacked out before he left, because I'm a mom, and I know how that is. It says, I've done it and reacted, you mean say reacted?
Yes.
With my kids in situations, I just did it with my house flooded. What do you mean by that?
So I think in my head, I was thinking maybe a situation happened and she overreacted and something might have happened. So I wanted to kind of play on that and say, look, I'm a mom. I've overreacted in situations. My house had just flooded. So I could have overreacted in that situation. So I was just kind of, I think, trying to play along with it.
You didn't know what was going to come next, I take it?
I had no idea.
And so what does she say next?
I am beginning to think that the guy was still in the home when police came. Either way, he popped back up with Gannon, so I'm assuming they were in the storage room. He threatened me, and I put them girls upstairs to protect them.
She says the.
Yeah.
So she's kind of explaining her messages, Leticia is, to Nicole, that she's telling this crazy story that, of course, she told her husband and even the investigators that this guy had broken in and or jumped in the truck or car or whatever before they got home. There's different versions. But anyway, this guy ends up at the house holding her at gunpoint and Gannon. Anyway, so she's explaining the story to Nicole. And so Nicole is trying to play nice and trying to relate to her. So because she's trying to, kind of get information out of her and try to do this by being her friend. I just got to shout out Tony. Good to see you, buddy. It's been a while since I've seen you in the chat. Good evening, everybody. Tony D is from EquiSearch. They do an amazing job. They go out and help search for people. I got to be one of the lucky people to go and work beside Tony and his crew when they went out looking for Dylan last year. That was an experience I'll never forget. I just want to say, Tony, I am coming to Texas in... I don't know if you're in Texas. I know EquiSearch is based out there. I don't know if you're out there, but we are going to Texas in May for an event. So I might have to email you.
And you asked her who was the guy.
Yes.
How'd she respond?
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay. He took a suitcase and some of our things and Gannon's things, and I was crying. Then he hit me across the head.
Was this the first you heard of a suitcase?
Very first time, yeah.
And how did you respond to that, and why did you respond the way you did?
This is why the cops are being the way they are. They knew you didn't do it, and that's why they are being so quiet. I knew you were innocent. So I responded in that way because, once again, I'm trying to keep her thinking that I'm on her side so that she'll continue telling me more.
So how does she respond to you saying that?
Someone had to see him leaving with a suitcase and G. I don't know if she, I assume was he, was hurt when he did. I was scared. Someone has to be a witness to having seen this guy. Someone had to, and is scared.
So as you're out there, night of the 27th, searching fields and the ditches and the whole neighborhood around their residence, anybody carrying a suitcase walking around?
Not at all. I would have questioned that.
Would anybody stop that person, strange man in the neighborhood?
In a heartbeat. Our neighborhood has cameras everywhere, and you can't be a guy selling solar panels walking up to somebody's door without somebody posting, who's this weirdo at my door.
That's huge. So it's not only just that neighbor that we got to see the footage of the truck, but clearly this neighborhood is got a lot of cameras. And just like she said, if there's any just out of ordinary people that show up, that the neighborhood kind of talks about it. And then obviously that just doesn't look good for Leticia's story, because obviously if this guy showed up to the house, he's got to exit the house at some point, which means he would have been caught on one of these cameras, but that is not the case. And I'm assuming she's clearly putting that all together, or is that already put it together. Camilla Norris, please keep following this. Her gaslighting didn't work from day one. Chris, you are awesome. That's so sweet. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We need your insight to give us the background. Thank you so much. This, like I said, this case I followed it. I know of it, but it's not one of the, like a lot of other cases. I feel a lot more comfortable talking about it. This one, I know of it, but I don't know all the aspects just because there's a lot to it. And Sleuthy and Sandals, thank you so much for becoming a member and support the channel. You guys are so awesome. Okay, we'll play a little bit more, and then we're going to talk about what's coming up for this channel. Like I said, we got 2 big trips coming up and possibly some more.
We can zoom in on the next page, please. So she said someone has to be a witness to having seen this guy. Someone had to and is scared. And you say, can I ask you this? You think Landon sent this guy?
Yes.
How does she respond?
I will do anything to find that person, but I don't know how. She could have, and then things may have went wrong.
Now, had you gotten to know Landon and Al and Lena and the rest of the family from efforts that were going on in the neighborhood to try to find?
Oh, wow.
I remember, I think I met a few of them maybe once for a very small amount of time. I think there was an aunt and Lena at one of the events that I got to play with Lena and do a few things with, but I didn't get to know them, no.
Was there a church in the neighborhood that was heavily involved in the search effort, and people would meet at the church and discuss things and try to find Gannon?
Yeah, we would do it at the church, but we also had a point when right off of Mandan, there's that field, and we actually set up tables with food and snacks and waters, and everybody would gather there and do search parties. And I think that's where I did most of my communication, the one time that I think I spoke with a couple of them.
So why did you ask her if
wow.
she thought Landon was involved in this?
It was made very clear, and I don't remember how, if it was social media or what it was, but that she didn't like Landon. So I think I was trying to play off of, okay, well, she doesn't like her, so if I start talking about Landon, it pulls her in more because I'm kind of siding with her.
Okay.
That's so smart. What an amazing woman to do this. And I wish we had time to play her whole thing, but it's we got another hour of her testimony, but I think we'll probably kind of pause there. And I don't want to go too much longer just because I've got some stuff to do, but I'll kind of gauge. Like I said, I will definitely do another video, at the very least, cover this some more. And I'm sure, I forgot, can anyone let me know in the chat? I don't know if I missed it. How many weeks we're looking at? Like I said, I swear I heard like 6 or 8 weeks, which really seems like way too much. I could be completely wrong, but anybody knows. True Crime Web, this is Steve. Once answered a call where the homeowners almost let me leave without advising me on an intruder still in the residence. Oh my gosh. It didn't go well for the intruder. Oh, hopefully it was not a terrible thing, but I'm glad you got the intruder, and hopefully everything was good. That's scary. So anyway, now, I did want to show this. So just a few pictures here. So poor Gannon here in the bedding. I would assume maybe this might be the bedding that he would be sadly wrapped up in, because now correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is one of the last pictures of Gannon. And then when the officers came in with the body cam, they had noticed that they didn't know it at the time, but it would be figured out that the bedding had changed, and obviously, that was a red flag. And then here is, I don't know if this is the garage. This looks like the garage. or if this is what's called the storage room. I'm not sure. With them kind of doing some investigating. Of course, they would haul some stuff out. What else? Of course, the bridge where they sadly found him in the suitcase. Very tragic. And yeah, I think we'll leave it there. So I think they are trying to classify her as a cluster B. Let me know in the chat. I think that's what they're trying to go for, is that somehow she is in one of these clusters and, had this whatever, went insane, personality disorder or something like that. But with the interviews that we know right now, everybody that talked to her kind of before or after, she seemed normal. So, it doesn't sound good for her. It is the garage. Okay, yeah. Gotta look like the garage, yeah. 11 days or 11 weeks? I don't know what the 11's for. I hope that... I don't think that there's no way it could be. We are hearing 6 to 8, but it's going fast. I don't think so. Yeah, because with no defense, no cross, it's such a weird... It's almost like a nonchalant trial. It's really just... and then, like I said, it just bugs me, the view. This is what you see most of the time. Is pretty much a blur. So it is a little frustrating on that end. So anyway, just a quick update. So yes, I'm going to be moving soon. Might be this weekend, might be next week. This is going to be a good thing because, like I said, one of the problems with going live and not be able to be consistent is I'm living with my aunt, and it's not their fault, but they have 11. Oh, I got you. Okay, 11 years old. Gotcha. But yeah, just living with my aunt, they've got the dogs, and my cousin, he's got his daughter, and anyways, and plus it's been since 2017 since I've lived in my own place. For those who don't know my story, I at one point had been homeless, so it just shows that never give up on your dreams. And I've been at the lowest of the low, and I crawled my way back, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. You guys are so amazing, the support. And so, of course, we'll keep an eye on the Stephen Smith case. I've been doing videos on that. And then, of course, Texas trip. We're going hopefully May 2nd. And then Aiden Clune's mother, we're going to have next Wednesday. And then she's going to talk about the big operation for Aiden that's going to happen in second week of May. So hopefully I'll come from Texas, come back, have a couple of days, and then go out and help Aiden. And then, of course, if things don't go well, which I hope they do for Dylan Rounds, I've offered, whenever they get done with their operation, if it's not successful, we will hopefully go out and help Dylan Rounds. But I do hope they find him tomorrow because they've waited long enough. So, but yes. So yeah, being in my new apartment, I am going to be doing more lives. I'll probably have more than just 3 shows a week, and might have some like morning shows that way because some people have different schedules. So no, I'm moving into apartment. No snow shovels for me. So yeah. Thank you guys. You guys are so amazing. Daylight Disinfectant. That's an awesome. I love that name. For the new studio, thank you so much. Much continued success. Thank you so much. You guys are so amazing. D-Dez, I'm gonna, like I said, I'm trying to aim for hand out those window breakers when I have Aiden's mother on. So hopefully Thursday is when we're gonna do that as well. So hopefully I covered everything. And I should be live Monday. I'll update you guys. If not, obviously we have Steve on Monday, so I'm hoping everything goes well and I'm moved in. And yeah, so I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. I love you guys. And new pet outro on Monday will be ready.